And then chapter 8, Shiva goes on. He says, Mahadeva, he creates Kala Bhairava. Now, Kala Bhairava is described as an Ugra Amsha of that Parameshwara. We should not confuse Kala Bhairava, Veerabhadra with Lord Shiva. Mahadeva is Purnatvam, that Om Purnamadah Purnam Idam Purnat Purnamudachyate. He is that complete in qualities, attributes and characteristics, that divine Paramaheshwara who is present in Parakailasha. His Ugra Amshas, Amsha, that's all. His Ugra Amshas are described as Veerabhadra, Kala Bhairava. So Mahadeva, he creates Kala Bhairava and then he orders Kala Bhairava. Vatsayoyam vidiksaksha jagatamadya daivatam Nunamarchaya kangena digmena javasa param. Because many people they are in the misconception that Kala Bhairava is Mahadeva. No, Kala Bhairava is an Ugra Amsha. He is a Shiva Gana. And Mahadeva, here we see Mahadeva ordering Kala Bhairava. Mahadeva orders Veerabhadra, oh Veerabhadra, go and destroy the Daksha Yajna. Oh Kala Bhairava, cut the fifth head of Brahma and punish him. And then Kala Bhairava Kala Bhairava obeys the orders of Maheshwara and he cuts the fifth head of Brahma. And then both of them realize, okay, Brahma and Vishnu then fall at the feet of that Samba Shiva, Parameshwara, and then they realize that Agni Sthamba is that attribute, is that aspect of this formed Maheshwara, and the Sharanagati should be done to this Samba Shiva. Ishvara uvacha arajabayame tadvai jagat sarvam nashishyati tatastvam jahitan dandarham vahalokaturam shisho. Mahadeva says that whole universe will be ruined. Oh children, Brahma and Vishnu, you have to realize one thing. The whole universe will be ruined if it loses the fear of a king. Mahadeva says that he is that ultimate king of the entire universe. And the whole universe will be ruined if it loses the fear of a king. So, everybody, if you see in a country, they are subservient to the king. The king actually, he makes the ministers to do their work. But still, the king is the king. He is the supreme. So, he says that, and that's why the Vedas also say, Avo Rajana Madvarasya Rudrakam Hotarakam Satyajagam Rodasyoho Agnim Puratana Yittor Chittat Hiranya Rupa Mavase Kranudvam. That king of sacrifices is Maheshwara and he is Hiranya Rupa. He is golden in complexion. The Vedas describe. It comes in the Sama Vedam also, it comes in the Rig Vedam also. Avo Rajana Madvarasya Hiranya Rupa. And then Mahadeva says, and Mahadeva blesses. Mahadeva goes on to say in the 9th chapter of the Vidyeshwara Samhita, Shiva Mahapurana, Ishvara uvacha tushtohamadyavam vatsau pujayasmin mahadine tiname tattatah punyam bhavishyati mahattaram Shiva Ratri Kyata titiresha mama priya etat kale tu yah kuryat pujam mallinga verayo. Oh dear children, he says Vatsa. Vatsa means child. So he addresses that. Vatsau. Vatsau. Vam Vatsau. Oh dear children, Brahma and Vishnu. This day, where I have shown this divine form, Adbhuta form, Adbhutam, Chidananda Rupam Adbhutam, as stated in the Kaivalya Upanishad, this day will be famous as Shiva Ratri in the entire universe. And perform worship of my embodied image and also this, my Arupa aspect, this Linga. Perform worship of both of them on this day. And once you do this, you will be competent to perform the task of creation and maintenance. See, that's why we saw by engaging in Shiva Upasana, Brahma and Vishnu have become the creators and maintainers of the universe. Brahma and Vishnu are posts that can be acquired by sadhana. We saw that. Parashara Upapuranam states that, Skanda Puranam states that Varaha Puranam states that, Mahabharatam states that, Padma Puranam also describes Brahma and Vishnu are bound by age. Vishnu Rayor Udakritam. They are also bound by age. So, please perform. You are blindfolded by arrogance. You are ignorant. And you are bound by ahankara, O dear children. So, please perform the worship of my image and also the Linga. That is my Rupa and Arupa aspect. The Arupa aspect is the aspect of that formed Maheshwara. And you will get the power to perform creation and maintenance. And then he goes on to say, Yat punakstamba rupena swavirāsamaham pura sakalo margashirshetu syadadrar Rukshamarbakau ardraryam margashirshetu yak pashyen mam umasakam madveramapi va lingam saguhadapi me priyaha. He says, the day I manifested in the form of the column of fire is the Ardra. Ardra Nakshatram is described. In reality, Mahadeva is not. We all have Nakshatras. Mahadeva is not actually. Mahadeva doesn't have Nakshatram. But the day he manifested in that column of fire, that day is actually the month of Margashirsha, and also it is the Ardra star. So, he who sees me, he goes on to say, he who sees me in the day of Ardra star, in the month of Margashirsha, in the company of Uma, Namo Hiranyabhagave, Hiranyavarnaya, Hiranyarupaya, Hiranyapataye, Ambikapataya, Umapataye, Pashupataye, Namo Namaha. In the company, he is inseparable. Parama Shiva and Para Shakti are inseparable. The divine Leela, he performs along with Para Shakti. Namah Shivabhyam, Navayavvanabhyam, Paraspara Slishta Vapurtarabhyam, Nagendra Kanya. Navayavvana, both of them are. So in the company of Uma, whoever performs my worship to the Rupa and Arupa aspect, they are dearer to me. They are the most dear to me. And then here he talks an interesting thing. Analachala samkasham yadidam linga muttitam arunachala mityeva tadidam kyati meshyati. See, Arunachala. He uses the word Arunachala. It is resembling the mountain of fire. Asavyastamro aruna utabhabrasu mangalaha. First anuvakam of Rudram. Namas somaya cha rudraya cha namakstamraya cha arunaya cha. 8th anuvakam. 2 times the word Aruna comes in Rudram. Arunachaleshwara. Smaranat Arunachale. We saw that. Just by remembering Arunachaleshwara, one is fit for getting mukti. So this actually Arunachaleshwara, Arunachala Mahatmyam is also described in the Skanda Mahapuranam. We can go through that. It's more detailed. There is a complete Purvarda and Uttararda for Arunachala Mahatmyam in the Skanda Mahapuranam. Very interesting. And there also Mahadeva crushes the Ahankara, and one should definitely visit Arunachaleshwara. It is described, just by visiting Arunachaleshwara, one will get rid of all the sins and one becomes fit for going back to Parakailasha and serving Maheshwara eternally. So, in the Arunachala Mahatmyam also, when Mahadeva appears in front of Brahma and Vishnu, he says, Purvasmai Vishnave Tatra. To a previous Brahma and Vishnu, I gave my knowledge, but in course of time, it has been forgotten. So, Brahma and Vishnu keep changing. See, this says that. So, new Brahma and Vishnu have come. I am giving my knowledge again. They are bound by Ahankara. I am giving my knowledge again to them. And that's what it says. Aruna word comes 2 times in the Vedas. Rudram. Arunachaleshwara. Just by dying in Kashi. Dying in Kashi, one gets mukti. One goes back to Parakailasha. And Kamalalaye. So, yeah, by taking birth in Tiruvarur, one becomes fit for attaining Mahadeva. And by By dying in Kashi, one becomes fit for attaining Mahadeva. By staying in Kanchi, one becomes fit for attaining Mahadeva. By having the vision of Chidambaram Nataraja in Chidambaram, one becomes fit for attaining Mahadeva. Just by doing Smaranam wherever you are, US or Europe. And if you are just doing Smaranam of Arunachaleshwara, Smaranad Arunachale, just by doing Smaranam, you are fit to attain the lotus feet of Mahadeva. Archayitvatra mameva linge linginam Ishwaram salokyam chaiva samipyam sarupyam sarshtirevacha sayujyamiti panchaite kriyadinam phalam matam sarvepi yuyam sakalam prapsyatashu manoratam. And worshipping me in this arupa aspect, that is linga, in the linga, worshipping me as linga and also with a rupa, I shall reward them with all the 5 types of salvation. Mukti. Salokyam, attaining. Salokyam means attaining the loka of that Maheshwara, Parakailasha. Samipyam means after going back to Parakailasha, there are many Shiva Ganas serving Lord Shiva, right? You attain closer proximity to Maheshwara by serving him more. That is Samipyam, attaining close proximity. And Sarupyam is attaining his Rupa. We saw just by hearing the Brahmanda Purana Stuti, which is also present in Matsya Puranam, Skanda Puranam and Vayu Puranam, Kurma Puranam. Just by hearing that Stuti, one will get the Sarupyam of Maheshwara, Rupam of Maheshwara, but still you are subservient. Nagalinga Garu would have brought this very beautifully, that Umapatitvam, the Jiva after attaining the Sarupyam, it is still not Umapati. That Umapatitvam is that only for Maheshwara. Ambika Patitvam, Parvati Patitvam is for Maheshwara. You don't become Parvati Pati, you are subservient to that Parvati Pati after attaining the Sarupya. You still keep serving him eternally. Sarshti means attaining his opulences. Sayujya is being in the eternal company of Mahadeva. There is no separation. You eternally stay with Mahadeva in Parakailasha, eternally serving him. Eternal stay in Parakailasha, being involved in the eternal service of Mahadeva. So may all of you achieve all your cherished desires. And then Mahadeva, we saw that previously Suta Maharshi said that Ishatvam, that Brahma, that is the supremacy, the supreme reality, Para Brahman is Maheshwara alone. Everybody else are Jivatmas. And Mahadeva confirms that again to Brahma and Vishnu here again. Dvayam mamaiva samsiddham namadanyasya kasyachit tasmat ishatvamanyesham yuvayorapi nakvachit tadajnanena vam vrittam ishamanam mahadbhutam tannirakartu matraiva muttitoham ranakshitau. He says, oh dear sons, oh Vatsa, Brahma and Vishnu, my dear Vatsas, my dear sons. The Ishatva, that is the supremacy, the Ishwaratva is only, I alone am that Ishvara, ultimate Ishvara. So Ishatva means that the supreme Ishvara, you cannot claim that supreme Ishvaratva. You cannot claim that Ishatva. You cannot claim that you are the supreme. Since you claimed, and that's why I had to crush the ahankara of both of you. So it is out of pride and arrogance you have said that. And I rose in the middle of the battlefield for quelling or for suppressing your anger and ahankara. And then he goes on to say, Mat prasadena lokeshu sarvapyartak prakashate gururiktir yamjakam tatra pramanam va punak punaha. Just cast off your false pride, ego. Just cast it out. And then fix your thought on me as your Lord. It is out of my favor that all the objects in the world are illuminated. All the objects in the world are illuminated by my favor. Mahadeva says that. That's why we say Hiranmayena Patrena, by the effulgence that is coming out of the body of Mahadeva, Brahma, Vishnu and Indra are able to function. This world is able to function by the effulgence, the golden effulgence that is coming out of the body of Mahadeva. Nathe kiritrakila lokapala virinchi vaikunta surendra gamyam. Even Brahma, Vishnu and Indra cannot understand the effulgence that is coming out of the body of Mahadeva. That effulgence, the supreme effulgence, is that Nishkala aspect of that formed Maheshwara, and that is that Linga. So one should worship the Linga as well as the Rupa of Maheshwara. Ahameva param brahma matsvarupam kalakalam brahmatvad ishwarashchaham krityam menugrahadikam. And then he says, I am the supreme reality. I am the supreme Brahman, and my form is both manifest and unmanifest. He says, my form, I have a form, and my formless aspect is that Linga. And then Brihatvad Brahmanatvacha Brahmaham Brahmakeshavau Samatvadyapakatvacha Tataivatmaha Marbakau. See, Brahma, oh Brahma and Vishnu, I am the supreme Brahman because of the Brihatva. Brihate cha varshiyase cha nama. Brihate means the supreme. Aniyasam aniyamsam brihatyascha brihattaram. He is the smallest of the smallest and the largest of the largest. And then Brihatva, Brahmanatva. So that is only for me. I am the supreme Brahman. So the Brihat, the word Brihat only will fit for me. Oh dear sons Brahma and Vishnu. And there is nothing that is equal to me. There is nothing that is greater than me. And I am the supreme Atman, Paramatma. Vyapakatva, I am all pervading. So one point to be noted here, as I mentioned before, Mahadeva was not bound by Ahankara. Mahadeva is the destroyer of Ahankara. He conducts the test. He becomes the judge and he conducts the test. And then he makes Brahma and Vishnu realize, he makes Brahma and Vishnu fail the test and make them realize that he is the supreme reality. That is one point to be noted. Mahadeva is not bound by Ahankara. Mahadeva is the destroyer of Ahankara. And the other one is that Narayana told the truth, whereas Brahma lied. So we see Satya Narayana Puja that is being conducted everywhere for attaining prosperity. The reason he is called as Satya Narayana because Vishnu accepted the truth that Mahadeva is the supreme reality. Oh Mahadeva, you are the supreme. I have to surrender to you. He accepted that. Finally. He was also bound by Ahankara, but later, through the grace of Mahadeva, he accepted that. That's why Satya Narayana. Satyatvam, Jnanatvam, Anantatvam. That is there infinitely in Mahadeva. Because Brahma and Vishnu are the sons of Mahadeva, portions. Because when you start meditating on Mahadeva, you will get the qualities and characteristics of Mahadeva. But that is infinitely, the qualities and characteristics and attributes are infinitely present in Maheshwara. And Vishnu is called as Satya Narayana because he accepted the truth that Maheshwara is the supreme reality and surrendered to him. And also one more thing, the first stuti that ever happened, because Pura Kalpe, Nandishvara says Pura Kalpe. The first stuti, because we see stutis for Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Para Shakti, Ganapati, Kartikeya, Kalabhairava, Veerabhadra, Nandi, everybody. We see stutis for everybody. Lakshmi and Saraswati and Indrani are also glorified in the Puranas. The first stuti, the first stotram that ever happened was for Mahadeva. Brahma and Vishnu, after Paramashiva, actually Paramashiva explains to them that he is the supreme reality and surrender should be done to him alone and not anyone else. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Shiva Gita 14th chapter 37th verse. Shiva says to Rama, cast aside everything, oh Rama. Ram Navami is going to come. We are going to talk about the glories of Rama, how he was a great Shiva Bhakta and how he did surrender, how he did prapatti to Maheshwara. And how he was delivered from all the sins. So he was a great Shiva Bhakta. So Shiva says this to Rama, cast aside everything and just surrender to me, O Rama. I will relieve you from all the sins, I will grant you moksha. And this is told in Bhagavad Gita 1866. And we saw Bhagavad Gita is the words of Mahadeva. Bhagavad Gita is the Shiva Swarupa, Paramhi Brahma Gaditam Yoga Yuktena Tanmaya. Oh dear Arjuna, I was united with that, in yoga with that supreme reality when I was speaking Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in Ashwamedha Parva to Arjuna. And there are many other references. I have released an 11-minute video in my channel giving the references. How our Shivacharyas have explained that Bhagavad Gita is actually described as the words of Lord Shiva. So that is one thing, Satyanarayana. And the first stuti that ever happened was the first stuti that ever happened was the stuti for Maheshwara. And there is a scientific meaning to this, guys. It is not just a story also. We all are aware of the Sushumna Naadi. Sushumna Naadi that is present in our body. From the Mooladhara to Sahasra. It is described, the Sushumna Naadi is infinitely present. It is present in the body of every jiva. That Sushumna Naadi is nothing but Mahadeva. Sutta Samhita. This is where Sutta Samhita, scientific meaning is also there. That's where Sutta Maharshi, again, our dear Sutta Maharshi comes to our rescue. In Sutta Samhita, he says, 2nd canto, 11th chapter, 37th verse. Sushumnaya Shivo Deva Idaya Devata Harihi Pingalaya Virinchihi. Now, Ida and Pingala are to the left and right of that Sushumna Naadi. Sushumna Naadi is in the center. Ida is to the left of Sushumna. Pingala is to the right of Sushumna. That Ida is nothing but Hari. That Pingala is nothing but Brahma. That's what Sutta Samhita. See, scientifically also it is there. It is proved by Sutta Maharshi. It's not an ordinary story. And this story, due to I think it's already 1 hour 5 minutes, I will be sharing the references. Everybody have a misconception that, oh, this story of Shiva Paratva is present only in Shiva Mahapurana, not other Puranas. Believe me or not, it is present in all the 18 Puranas. It is spoken directly or indirectly. I will be providing the Upabrahmanams. I will be providing the references in tomorrow's class. Due to short of time. There are many references. Very beautiful references. So here the Sushumna is Mahadeva, the center line, which is infinite. Ida, which is to the left of Sushumna, is Hari. Pingala, which is to the right of Sushumna, is Brahma. Even the creation that happens, it aligns with we discussed the verse before, where Hari appears from the left limb of Samba Shiva. Brahma appears from the right limb of Samba Shiva. See, it aligns. Hari is to the left. Ida is to the left. Pingala is to the right and Brahma is to the right. Scientifically also it is proved. Mahadeva is that Sushumna Naadi. So that is present in the Sutta Samhita. So, so I would like to close the class for today. I hope you enjoyed, and this is one of the things. So as Mahadeva mentions, one should definitely read the 8th and 9th chapter of Vidyeshwara Samhita, where Mahadeva describes, as it goes on in the 10th, 11th and 12th chapter, he talks about the Shodashopachara, the 16 ways of worshipping him, and also the glories of Bhasma and Rudraksha. We can run over that in the coming days. One should definitely read that 8th and 9th chapter, which talks about just by worshipping, dedicating yourself on this one day of Shiva Ratri, one becomes fit for going back to Maheshwara. So, and Shiva Ratri is coming on the 11th of March. So, to the maximum, one can spend time for Maheshwara. And specifically during the night, Thursday night, the 12 p.m., that is when the Lingodbhava episode happened. All the temples, they do Parvati Parameshwara. That is another episode, like Parvati Parameshwara Kalyanam is said to have happened on Shiva Ratri. We can run through that also in the coming days. That is a beautiful pastime. How Parvati appears in the house of Himavan. Narada Maharshi comes and looks at Parvati Mata and he says to Himavan that the birthless Mahadeva will get married to her, and then she attains the adulthood. She becomes mature, and then she does terrible penance. How Mahadeva burnt Kamadeva into ashes, and how Parvati Mata, how the sages come and challenge Parvati Mata. Why don't you get married to other personalities like Brahma, Vishnu or Indra? And Parvati Mata replies, Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Munayor, Janma, Mrityu, Jaraditaha. I want to get married to the birthless personality who doesn't have destruction. That is Mahadeva alone. And then the marriage also happens. It's a very beautiful pastime that can be run over. And as we saw in the beginning, one should meditate on the pastimes of Mahadeva. Name, form, activities, pastimes. In yesterday's class we discussed in detail. Name, form, activities, pastimes, paraphernalia, characteristics, attributes, and also the leelas of Maheshwara. One should meditate on that. So with that said, I would like to close the class by chanting the Kshama Prarthana mantra. Please join the class tomorrow. I will be providing the references, all the references from various Puranas and Upapuranas, which talks about this Lingodbhava episode. Om Yadaksharapadabhrishtam Matrahinam tu Yadbhavet Tatsarvam Shamyatam Deva Parameshwara Namostute Visargabindu Matrani Padapadakshirani Cha Yunani Cha Tiriktani Kshamasva Parameshwara Aparada Sagasrani Kriyante Harnisham Maya Daso Yimiti Mammatva Kshamasva Parameshwara Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karnya Bhavena Raksha Maheshwari Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karnya Bhavena Raksha Maheshwara एतत् सर्वं श्री उमा महेश्वर परब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु ललितांबिके सांब शिवार्पणमस्तु श्रीमती गौरी समेत सांब शिवार्पणमस्तु करचरणकृतं वाक्कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा अपराधं विहितं अविहितं वा सर्वं एतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणा अब्दे श्री महादेव शंभो माता च पार्वती देवी पिता देवो महेश्वर बन्धवा शिवभक्तांश्च स्वदेशो भुवनत्रयं सांब शिवाय नमः सांब शिवाय नमः सांब शिवाय नमः हर ओं तत्सत्।